Hi friends, Susan Blackwell from the Spark File here to let you know that the doors are open for the Spark File Illume, a 9-month group creativity coaching mastermind that invites you to be the Chief Creative Officer and Chief Marketing Officer of your creativity. But what does that mean? That means in 9 months in Illume, you will clarify and advance your big creative goals and learn how to effectively share your work with the world. Now, if you're listening to this and you're an experienced creative or an accomplished professional who seeks a space where it is safe to attempt something you've never tried before, or complete a big creative project, or take your work to the next level and acquire the skills needed to share your creative work with the world, Illume might be right for you. We are calling in emotionally intelligent, high-functioning creatives who are ready to level up. You can find out more by going to thesparkfile.com/Illume, but do it now to find out if Illume is right for you and to save with early bird discounts. That's thesparkfile.com/Illume. Take a leap, take a risk. Go to thesparkfile.com/Illume and join us for Illume. This is part 1 of our interview with Bobby Lopez and Kristen Anderson-Lopez, recorded right before we all went into quarantine. As always,
the Spark File podcast may contain profanity and other adult content.
Please use your discretion.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my Spark File. Spark File. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my Spark File. Spark File. I jump into my Spark File. Spark File. Let's open up the Spark File.
Welcome to the Spark File, your bouncy castle for creative inspiration.
I'm Laura Camion.
And I'm Susan Blackwell. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. You may be asking yourself, what exactly is a Spark File? Where do I get one? What do I file in it? These are good questions, and we've got answers.
A Spark File is a place where you consistently collect all your inspirations and fascinations. And if you're like us and you're making stuff all the time, you know that sometimes the wellspring of inspiration can run a little dry. We're here to refill it.
Yes, we're on the lookout for fresh ideas, images, and inspiration that spark our creativity and pique our curiosity, things that inspire us to get up off of our asses and make things like this podcast.
Or a whole host of musicals that feature fish, princesses, Pooh Bears, commuters, Mormons, and or mariachi.
Or a collaboration that balances love, professionalism, productivity, and creativity.
Or a home filled with music.
Or a musical anthem that will outlive all of us.
On today's Makersode, we're going to talk with some folks who truly spark us.
And those folks are Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson-Lopez. Bobby Crispix, welcome to the Spark File.
Hi. We're so happy to be here.
We're so happy you're here. But wait.
But wait. The Spark File price of admission, real quick. Each of you have to tell us a creative risk that you have taken recently. Just something that felt like progress, but not perfection.
Something that made you shit your pants a little bit.
Just a tiny bit.
Well, I guess mine happened because we got a chance to collaborate with Lin-Manuel on something that's coming up. And he's Lin-Manuel.
He's Lin-Manuel.
But you've been friends for a long time.
We've been friends, but we had to collaborate in front of each other.
That's new and different.
All three of us.
How'd you approach that?
With bravery, and sunny afternoons and a sense of humor, and also permission to fail. Like
Nice.
Permission to just be like, I might just really shit my pants.
When were you like, this requires bravery?
I didn't realize it until he showed up, and then I did. When I'm nervous with somebody, I lose my words, which is a bad thing if you're a lyricist.
Tell them about the pool.
About the pool. So he came. We were renting this amazing house in Connecticut this summer to try and take a break.
Give the address. Give the address.
JK. And it had this pool that was far away from the house, and we worked and we were sort of talking about the problem, and then we were like, let's go and we'll have some lunch and we'll go in the pool, and as we were walking over, I said, I know. As we're walking over, I said, I'm just going to take a quick dump in the pool and then I'll go get the the lunch.
Yeah.
And Bobby didn't let it go.
This is one of those things like, do we just let that lie there like a dump in the pool?
It was either like, I'll go jump in the pool or a quick dip in the pool.
Yeah.
But I combined the two and told him I was going to poop in the pool and then go get him lunch. And that's when I realized there's something in me that feels scared to collaborate with someone who has inspired me and done what he has done.
And what do you do in that moment? Like when you recognize that, oh shit, this is what's happening. What do you do to like calm yourself down or change your mindset? Do you have a process?
Well, one of the processes I did is after he left, because we didn't do too much in front of each other that day. After he left, I told Bobby, I was like, I felt like such an asshole, and I lost these words.
We just fully confessed, and there was a fair amount of like when you said this in front of Lin-Manuel about when you called me out for saying dump in the pool, I felt a little bit called out.
Yes.
And I was like, I can understand that, and I'm sorry, and I won't do that the next time you say that.
Yes.
But I will giggle inside.
But this is where the creative relationship and the couple marriage relationship intersects, right?
Right. We have a wonderful safety most of the time. We have a great, and if we aren't safe in that moment, we have a great ability to say, when this thing happened, here's what I was feeling. Yeah. It's gotten much better as we've learned to use the right language so that it doesn't sound accusatory.
There's like a way of talking to one another that we learned from a professional that is very helpful.
When you did X,
it's not,
I felt Y.
We knew that one already, but the one that we learned is like, you have to like look at each other. Yeah. And then when the person is done talking, then the other person has to basically repeat everything that person said.
Did you go to
it's conscious dialogue out of Imago therapy.
Yeah.
And then you say like, did I get that right? And then they get a chance to edit basically what they intended. And so it's like all about really hearing each other, not just waiting for your turn to talk. And being like,
okay, I have my counter argument right now.
I hear what you're saying, but what I want to say is...
Yeah. She shut up. Here I
go. It's so funny because I actually took that modality and I started teaching it to creatives, to collaborators, to actors, so that they could calm down and actually, because we hear that so much. If you ask Meryl Streep, like, what's the secret of great acting? Meryl Streep acts like she hasn't been asked that question 3 million times. And then she says, I think it's listening, but nobody ever really teaches you how to do it. And that is the fastest way, even though sometimes it can seem like a slow way. I think it's the fastest way to get to that real deep bionic sort of listening. And I love that you do it. And it makes sense to me because I see the health of your relationship.
We didn't always have it. Like we definitely
today. I see the health of your relationship today.
Evolved that out of constant growth and all of that. And just circling back to pulling Lin-Manuel into all of this. It was interesting. I think
back to the money.
That first that first time that he came to our rental house and he was so busy and we were really nervous. And then the next time we got together, it was much more casual and much more like let's collaborate. Let's really
have fun
and let's share our experiences as writers for under a lot of pressure from various people. And,
with mutual respect, I'm sure. Like I'm sure he has similar thoughts about the two of you.
I mean, I wouldn't know where it would come from because he's friggin' Lin-Manuel.
He's Lin-Manuel.
We had it was a
love fest.
And it got safer and easier to the point where I was able to just create right in front of him and record things and make up music in front of him without feeling feeling like I'm creating in front of Lin-Manuel.
Yeah. But it sounds like you, in answer to Cammie's question, it sounds like you really, as soon as you could, the next available appointment that you had, you were able to like turn to each other and say, and just process it out. Like, I didn't feel great when you repeated it and laughed and everybody laughed. Like, not to
Then I wasn't wearing
re-traumatize
any
you.
clothes. All of a sudden, I was at school.
Yeah, but it sounds like you processed
God.
it as quickly as you could. And that's what
Yeah.
helps you get to that place where you can be like, and now we can sit in a room together and make with Lin-Manuel.
And relax.
Yeah.
I
I think
love that
we
you
had to
have
tell
each
the
other.
story to several other
Yeah.
friends too about the time that I told Lin-Manuel I was going to poop in the pool.
I mean, taking a dump in the pool is a really funny thing. I'm sorry.
That's a really good
don't.
price of admission. What you
Bobby,
got,
what
Bobby?
do you have?
Well, we were just in Los Angeles for the Oscars, and for the first time, we went to this particular dinner, which we had always missed. And this year, it was going to be all of the music nominees at one dinner and all the acting nominees as well.
same dinner.
Everyone
Really?
that could make it anyway.
That's
Nice.
amazing.
And they made it very clear. They said, and last year, Lady Gaga there's a piano, and Lady Gaga just played the night away. And we hope that happens too, Bobby.
God.
Wow. Just spontaneous.
Sing for your supper.
And I was so excited and
It's gonna
so
be a big
terrified.
sing-along. And I
right?
was super terrified because, I don't do a lot of that. I don't do a lot of playing piano in front
Yeah.
of people, and I don't do a lot of
with a brandy snifter tip
yeah,
jar on
I'm
the
certainly
piano.
not like I'm not used to being compared to Lady Gaga
Yeah.
or Elton John or any
I
of
think
these.
of you as a young Lady Gaga. Go ahead.
I can see it.
Aw,
now. I
that's
can
what-
see
yeah,
it.
I mean, actually, we're about the same age. Actually,
You do play piano in front of our friends a lot and in front of our family,
Sure.
but you
yeah,
don't.
I play it, but
you
I
play it all the time.
Yeah, but
yeah, but
They
it's
this
a
felt like
sort
a
of,
different
like
stage.
in the moment, or how long
No,
did you have to?
We knew it was coming.
Okay.
It was like 2 weeks, and it was really one of the reasons that we left our children a day early to get to this party because
Yeah.
it sounded like your dream.
Super
it sounded
memorable.
like
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was my childhood dream. Obviously, I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, to be in a room with stars and get to play the piano, and they sing and I sing.
They
and
tip
Kristen
you.
sings. We all just,
Yes.
it's going to be amazing. Yeah. But then as soon as the reality sets in, I have like a week to worry about it, and just feel.
How did that live in you for that week?
It was just dread. It just felt like dread.
Oh.
Like always.
You
I
weren't
always-
like going through fake books and being like, oh, I
did a
gotta get my
little of
shit
that.
together.
I did a
Really?
little. I did I mean, I tried to learn some of everybody's music just in case that came up.
God.
And as it turned out, we didn't play our own stuff at all. I ended up, all the youngins would play all of their heroes stuff.
Right.
So I played Tiny Dancer, and
as Elton John was leaving because he
Yeah.
left a little early.
Wait. How was it actually when you were living it?
And
well, it was more drunken, so I was feeling better. Self-medication.
There were a lot of drinks at this
Liquid
party.
courage.
I was going to ask, how does the dread turn? Like, when does that turn for you? Right before, or you in the middle of doing it, you suddenly realize that, hey, I think I'm having fun.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of, just any like you guys perform, how it is a little bit. And it was there was a little bit of like, I'm going to die, die, that sort of thing.
Wait,
but
I
then
haven't died.
that
I'm
moment,
still
you
here.
use that energy to walk over to the piano confidently and just play. So, and they, I think
And he
they
played
were like,
all night.
they were grateful that someone was there that could play.
Yes.
Oh, and
Tell
I
him you're
forgot
Quincy Jones.
Yeah, like
so Quincy Jones was there.
Quincy Jones walked in, and I had just read an article where Quincy Jones said Paul McCartney was a shitty bass player, and I was like, oh no.
Oh, God. Quincy.
Judgy bitch.
By the way, all of this was going on, and Bobby was not communicating any of that to me.
Right.
He
Could
had
you
s-
tell? Could
The
you
week
tell something was
before,
going on?
he had said, like, I'm a little nervous about playing the piano in front of, like, Elton John. And we knew we were going to be with our fellow nominees. And so it's Elton John, it was Randy Newman.
Jesus Christ.
But I was like, Cynthia Erivo will be there, and she'll sing Fine, Fine Line. But she ended up...
being there.
which is a song that got her into the Royal Academy.
You're kidding.
She sang that song to get into graduate school. Amazing. So I was like, you can hold on to that. Let's just focus on that.
Yeah, that was my
you got
life
that.
raft, but then she wasn't there.
Oh, no.
Cynthia.
But and in walks Quincy Jones, and my heart skips a beat because he's like a legend of music. Like
and he's got opinions.
Popular music of
yeah.
And he's not afraid to just say, "You suck, man." Like, you're shitty.
You suck so hard, man.
But Joaquin Phoenix was also messing with Bobby at the time. Joaquin Phoenix was jokering around with him too.
He was like, there was this nice person from the Academy who said, "Can I get you a drink?" And I was like, "Oh, that's very nice of you. Yes, I would like a scotch on the rocks, please." And then she walked over to the bar, and Joaquin said, "Man, she's not your assistant. That's not cool." And then he was like, I'm fucking with you. And then she came back and delivered the drink and smiled and walked away. And he's like, "You weren't going to like tip her $2, man? Like, that's not cool."
God.
Like, just $2.
So
Jeez,
Joaquin Phoenix is pulling a whole
Hollywood is rough.
Joker thing
Mental
on
game.
him.
Tough room.
Bobby's like, Quincy Jones. He doesn't like Paul
So
McCartney.
I walked over to Quincy Jones and I was like, "This is a really impressive room, but as soon as you walked in, that's when I lost it, sir. Like, you're amazing. My name's Bobby Lopez." He's like, "I know who you are. I know what's going on." And
So super warm.
yeah.
Wow.
And then Kristen walked over and she's like, "I'm his wife." And Quincy Jones says, "I know. He was just bragging on you." And then he winked at me.
I thought, oh, that's so nice. What was he saying?
I was like, "This guy is awesome. I love Quincy Jones."
Wow.
And the post note to that is that Quincy Jones told somebody like, "That kid's a good piano player." So
Yeah. He came up to me, gave me a fist bump. He was like, "You're good."
Did you sleep like an angel?
Yeah, that was
night?
good.
Yeah.
But then as I was playing, Margot Robbie came and sat down next to me on the piano bench
Oh my God.
and said, "Will you play me something?"
And so he
Hello.
played "She's Always a Woman to Me." And then I saw what was going on, and she was like sitting next to him, and I was like, "Oh, she takes care of herself." Big Ethel Merman
You went
felt
full
between
musical theater. Amazing. I think you are
fun
officially admitted
Holy
into the
crap.
Spark
All
File.
right.
Yeah,
Those
I
are
think
some
you're in.
good risks. Thank you for inviting us to your office /musictorium.
Thank you.
It's just us talking now, but this aside, is there ever not music going on in your home, in your life, it seems like
In your head.
In your head.
When Kristen says, "Please be quiet," then I stop.
Well, he does. So I have a lot of music in
Babe.
my head, and I have a lot of like. Sometimes I'll get caught, and I do think there's a little bit of an OCD thing that happens on certain phrases that just happen round and around. And then when I finally get it quiet, if Bobby like gets on the piano and starts playing Billy Joel or something,
Opens
then,
a can of earworms. Yes.
But then I take a second and I like to remind myself, like, what if the day comes and he's not there to play the piano? So you better appreciate it.
Way to bring it down, Kristen.
Hey,
But
perspective.
I think that's great.
Coronavirus is making me
right.
think a lot about.
No, I was going to ask if you are when you have an earworm and you're perseverating on that. New York is coming for us, everybody. Is that problems that you're trying to solve musically, or is it like a Billy Joel song that's stuck in your head?
When we're writing a song, it's definitely I'm solving it.
Yes.
I notice when we're writing these songs, I will go home with it and dream it all night long. And and throughout my
Working on
dream,
it.
I will be completely working on it. I'll even be writing lyrics to it, and I'll wake up in the morning and it'll like go, that definitely happens. And so whenever people come up to us and like, "You and your earworms, I've been hearing 'Remember Me' in my head
Like,
for
baby.
3 months," and I'm like, I was there first.
That's right. I didn't.
No pity.
Try writing, yeah.
What strikes me about that is with all the people that we talk to, we find these sort of like recurring themes, and one of them seems to be like really prolific creative people trust their brain, meaning like I'm not necessarily working on this right now, but I trust that my brain is. So whether I'm sleeping or meditating or doing a puzzle or whatnot, like just let my brain do it. It's going to solve it. And I really love hearing you talk about it that way, because you seem to have a real like healthy relationship with your brain.
You know, I'm sorry that I didn't get this done in time, but what I really wanted to have on the wall here was a sign that says, "Do not bang head on wall."
Don't do it. There's things happening in there.
Yeah.
You might disrupt it.
I mean, like,
That's right.
if you get a problem and you're really stuck on it, the better thing to do than just keep trying and getting angry and getting upset is just to walk away and let your brain figure it out for you.
I find the shower,
Yes.
like the shower and the bathroom.
Tell it.
I call them epiphanies. When you're just like, I can't do this. I'm going to the bathroom, and then you're sitting on the toilet and you're like, I got it.
Yeah.
Fractals or whatever it is.
That's so good. So good. Before we get too far down this road, we do have this question for people, who maybe
For the woodworkers.
that don't
I'm
know,
talking to you woodworkers out there.
For the woodworkers, here's a two-parter. Creatively speaking, when people ask, what do you do? How do you answer that? And part two, what are the things that you're most well known for? And please don't be shy, because we will name them if you don't.
I usually say, I'm a songwriter.
Yeah, I felt compelled to say what I used to say and now what I do say.
Oh, good.
Because first in my 20s, there was always that problem of when I was a performer of feeling like you couldn't say, I'm an actress, especially if you were spending the bulk of your time temping. So that was always the hard part. Yeah. And then when I transitioned from performer to writer, that got even more confusing.
Yeah.
And it got I found myself saying like, well, I work with schizophrenic patients during the day, but I am learning to write musicals at night. And that's what I want to do.
Wow.
Now I'm very lucky that things have worked out in a way that
Things
I'm
have
able
really
to say.
worked out.
So I think it's
I'm allowed to say like, I'm a songwriter.
Yeah.
legit.
And but even now I still like we do so much story, we do so much like executive producing and song producing.
That's right.
Yeah.
and huge amounts of dramaturgy. Saying you're a songwriter doesn't feel like it covers
It's
it.
not
That's
a
right.
big
It's not
enough
big enough.
container.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we just hop back? I'm going to jump.
Sure.
You were a performer. You came to New York to be an actress, and then you made a transition. You changed a choice. Can you talk a little bit about changing that choice? It sounds like it took some time, and you had to figure out the language, and that evolved as you figured it out. But talk a little bit about changing your choice.
I'm going to give you the 30-second pitch of something that I've done as like a 20-minute talk. But
Great.
the thing is, I started in that follow your bliss way when I was like 6 years old. Loved theater, loved story, and I would make up musicals in my backyard and direct them and cast them and design them and star in them.
Those
And
were good shows.
I had a whole neighborhood of repertory company, Claudine and Matthew Thomas and Alexandra.
You
And
weren't bossy, were you?
I had leadership skills. That's right. And the message I got out of all of that was, you're an actress. You like musical theater. You must be an actress. And nobody thought, oh, she's a director or she's a writer or a songwriter or a composer.
Producer. Yeah.
And I think I swallowed that message in a big way, so much so that when a fortune teller looked at my hand, it was like a hand reading manual with my friends, and they were like, your hand is a writer. I cried and I was like, this book is wrong because
Well, you
I was
weren't
an
wrong.
actress.
I mean, those books are wrong. Sorry.
And
one wasn't.
cut to, did well in high school, got into Williams College, got the BA degree in theater and psychology. But it didn't prepare me to be an actress, to audition for like nonsense.
Right.
I had to figure that out myself, and played a lot of nuns in New Hampshire for my 20s. But I was temping most of the time to be able to afford to play those nuns in New Hampshire.
Which nun?
I was the one from Brooklyn.
I think I played that nun. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
And then I was also Maria. And then I was also I played a lot of the nuns. I did all the nuns
Nun
you could do.
circuit. Yeah.
Robert Ann, Sister Robert
Sister
Ann.
Robert Ann. That's right.
Anyway, cut to things are just. I'm turning 27, which I think is a really key moment for everybody. There's some sort of number 27.
That's right.
That you
You
go.
and the handwriting and the numerology and all of it. Yeah.
But I noticed that's when many of us
Yeah.
take stock of
Yeah.
it's the 5-year plan has not worked out out of college. And I thought this isn't working.
That ain't it, kid.
That ain't it, kid. Tried a lot of things. Worked with schizophrenic patients. Did a lot of
For real.
different things.
You were-
real.
Oh, I
For
thought you were
real.
just talking about actors.
No.
You meant actual schizophrenic
I was actually
patients.
working at the Bronx VA hospital. This is going long. I'm going to try and cut to the
You're
short
doing great.
thing. I ended up saying, well, gosh, working with schizophrenic patients is just as hard as playing nuns in New Hampshire.
Right.
And it feels just as not quite right. Went back
I wonder
to.
if you're the only person with that perspective.
Who does that feel just right for?
I mean, there's some people that like it.
For sure.
Psychiatry is really their calling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I just was missing the creative side of things.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
did a little cabaret where I rewrote some Sondheim lyrics, and someone who had been through the BMI workshop, I rewrote Opening Doors for Merrily We Roll Along to be our opening of this show called Opening Doors. And someone said, you're a lyricist. And I realized I had been rewriting lyrics and doing like forbidden Broadway things in all of my shows.
Yeah.
And he had been at the BMI workshop. And
Wow.
then I was in Urinetown. Also, I was temping during the day, but I was in the original Urinetown.
feel
And
you,
Mark
girl.
Holman had been through the BMI workshop and also was like, you're a lyricist.
Wow.
So I applied to BMI. And it was, I wrote my first song and performed it. And that was when it was truly like that magical, the skies open. I was like, this
is the thing.
I don't know that it was the greatest song. I could tell you it wasn't, but I could tell you that feeling that
Like a
connection,
key turn.
feeling the audience laugh at what I did, and knowing that like this was performing, and knowing the human voice, and knowing story, all happening. And then the crazy thing is, I met this guy 2 weeks later.
Damn.
I found BMI workshop
Lightning bolt.
was like one-stop shopping for my purpose and my soulmate. So, ladies,
If that's not
thanks,
the best
BMI.
advertisement for BMI, my God.
Damn. I love hearing that story because we talk with so many people that I think they lock into a choice at a young age, and then they just are so tormented by the idea of changing their choice. And it's like, no, like you can change your
can.
choice.
Yes.
it is hard and there is grief. But I think there's
Yes.
also a lot of sorting through. And I tell I say this to especially female audiences and female artists all the time. We still have this message that if you're a woman in musical theater, that you're an actress. We don't see all of the different ways you can love and be a part of this life of stories and music, and not have to go through the crazy stuff that the actresses go through.
Yeah.
And that it's okay to go back to where you fell in love, like trace your steps back to that moment that you were like, I love this. And it might have been a cast album, or it might have been a play you did when you were in second grade that you wrote about the dwarves,
Yeah.
Snow White's dwarves, or whatever
Yeah.
dwarves.
Or any dwarves.
Yes.
That might lead you to where you actually want to.
I love that.
That's right.
I
That's
love
right.
that. It's okay to change your choice, everybody.
It is.
And part two, what are the things that you're most well known for?
Yeah.
Bobby, I think you should take that. I've been talking a lot.
Take it, Bobby.
Well, I did
you
want
got?
to say one thing that came to mind was when you were talking about changing your choice, which was that also applies on the micro level all the time.
Yes.
When you're collaborating,
Yes.
when you're because for me, I so often had that, like, I had this idea for this song or this whatever, this moment, and I have to stay to this true north. And it's stopping me. Something's not quite right, but I don't care. I'm just gonna make it work. And so much. The answer so often is relax about that and try something else, or listen to your collaborator, or just become an audience member and just forget that true north for a moment and say, like, where would I put true north now if I had to change?
If I was in the audience, what would I want to see?
Yeah, right. If I wanted to, if I wanted this to be good, what would I do?
Sometimes you do have to do that, and just put yourself in the audience.
And I just feel like I'm starting to learn that lesson, like, now. I've been so often like been the let's stay on target, everybody. Kind of
You
guy.
can be like a dog with a bone, and sometimes I love that, and sometimes I'm like, down,
Yeah.
down, dog.
Yes. Release it.
And just one more thing that I think about, you're allowed to change your choice. I think so much of it also has to do with feeling like you're letting down teachers and parents, and
Yes.
the narrative,
one.
And
the
maybe you
narrative of your whole
incurred
life.
school debt to pay for
right.
that choice,
Right.
things like that.
Right.
Maybe you made a declaration at some point. This is what I'm going to do.
Oh,
and then it's a
especially.
little like embarrassing, or
Yeah.
you carry with it, perceived shame or
Seguendo
perceived.
camino de toda su vida.
But I would also say it, like, if you were the leads in your high school musical, so much codifying comes with that everyone's like, you're going to Broadway.
Yes.
But no one
External
says, like, you're going to
expectation.
Broadway as the writer.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so often when you
Surprise,
say this
so
to
true.
young people, they're like, nah, you mean I'm not good enough to be an
Yeah,
actress.
nobody wants to hear it because, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with what's sexy to the
that's right.
partners that you are seeking at age 16.
That's right.
Because, and I've talked about this before too. Bobby at age 16, if he sat down and started to play Billy Joel, a bunch of girls would come over and be like, "Oh my God, I
Margot
love
Robbie.
Piano Man."
Margot fucking Robbie.
Margot
Yeah.
Robbie.
Play
It
something
still
for me.
happens. It still happens. If a girl sits down and starts playing the piano, it's not like the football players come over and they're like, "I love the Indigo Girls." Whoa, that's so cool, right? Like, there is.
Won't you play me
there
something?
That's
are
right.
Yeah.
Some real gender
Yeah.
things around this, and you're lucky if you get, the clarinetist saying like, "Oh, I really love that."
Yeah.
I think it is changing. I see my daughter. My daughter just wrote a song and put it on TikTok, on her ukulele, and I was so proud of her, and she got all this and love from it.
Instant.
I mean, and that has its own problems, of course,
Right.
but I think that TikTok universe is making it safer for girls to find their maker voice and not just have to be Marianne.
That's right.
In the High School Musical of Music Man.
That's right. And better to be getting likes for having written a song or done something creative than all the other ways that kids are getting likes online, That's pretty impressive.
But I think that is creating some of the gender inequality around songwriting happens really early in that adolescent space because of, will it attract a partner or not?
Yes. Isn't that the overriding question we get taught as women from day one? Will this or will this not lead to a ring on my finger? And it's there's so much of that that's just sewn into the way people talk to young ladies.
I also think maybe I could yes to all of this, but also I was thinking, I don't know, as a young person, like say you in your backyard, like making the show run, if you could necessarily conceptualize what a songwriter does in the way that what an actor does. There's so many, picture books and examples of what a actor does, but it's a little more sophisticated.
Well, that's why I try to be really vocal about it, because to me, what a songwriter did was like, in those cast albums, they were records then. It was just like angry men around a piano smoking, like pictures of men who looked really upset.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what a songwriter was.
Yeah, black and white
Yes.
guys. Yeah.
In black and white pictures.
Yeah.
And now I try to be out there as much as I
love
can, as like, this is fun. Look, I'm wearing a shiny green dress and I'm sitting behind Parasite.
Yes.
My God. Yes.
Which is what I was just at the Oscars in a very shiny green dress.
Yes.
Being all fancy.
yeah.
Being
For
fancy.
songwriting.
We just did a Spark about Hedy Lamarr and the filmmaker who did this great documentary called Bombshell about Hedy Lamarr, who in addition to being a physically beautiful movie star, was also an amazing scientist. The reason why she wanted to, the filmmaker wanted to make the movie, is because she was like, when you say scientist, you picture usually a white guy with a pocket protector, and she was like, that can't be it, kid. And it's what you're saying too. You want to create a new model. This is what a songwriter looks like.
Right. And I do think there's a lot of momentum behind this, with Georgia Stitt founding Maestra, this new organization, and Janine Tesori and Lisa Crone, and there's Amanda Green, like Lynn Ahrens. Like there's a lot more models of how you can be a songwriter and not be an angry white guy smoking a cigarette from the 1960s. Some of those guys are my heroes.
It can look so many
those guys
more
are
ways.
great. And it can look more ways.
More ways.
Yeah.
So what have you written?
Yeah, we got to get back to this question.
What have you written?
And then I want to add to that. And then I want to hear your origin story as well, your creative journey.
Well, Avenue Q was my first big show.
Yeah.
Heard of that.
Broadway. And then Finding Nemo the musical. A lot of people, that's their favorite show of ours in Walt Disney World.
It runs like 5 to 6 times a day, 365 days a year.
Beautiful little fishies. Nemo.
And then Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon. We did Winnie the Pooh. Nobody knows that one.
Winnie the Pooh came out the same day as the final Harry Potter. I think it was like July 11th, 2011.
Wow.
So that was like 3 people saw it, but it was a sweet one.
Yeah.
And
then Frozen.
Well, you're right. And I had In Transit, which was like an a cappella.
Yes.
Right.
Musical.
Broadway musical.
To that one.
That was a hard one. And then we had Up Here, after Frozen, the movie, we had Up Here in La Jolla.
Closed out of town.
Closed out of town. And then we were really busy doing Frozen Broadway while also writing Frozen 2.
Yes. Yes.
Pretty much brings... Oh,
and
Coco.
And Coco.
Which was a bigger project for us. We ended up with just one song in a bunch of different reprises.
Great song.
Yep.
Great fucking song.
We're going to just do one.
Do that song.
Good one.
It was fun. It was a beautiful movie. And we worked a lot on the story for Coco. Like we were involved in the
beautiful story.
I mean, it's an incredible...
I just love that. I just love that movie. I was just going to say, ooh.
I didn't want to interrupt that.
Do you have any other syllables for us?
Ooh. I do.
The wonderful thing about working for Pixar and Disney is that you, as a songwriter, you get to sit in and be part of the brain trust on, which is an incredible experience.
Is that unique?
That storytelling, I feel like that storytelling from those studios is extraordinary. And it's the thing that elevates those movies to be sort of just like several cuts above.
Yeah.
The storytelling, the way that those stories are honed. But
is that part of why, maybe? Because it seems they're inclusive of the whole creative team?
Well, it's a brutal process, but in that brutality,
we find pleasure.
Pleasure and pain,
I mean,
always.
It's you're getting the forces of like your most critical audience at early stages, and over again in an iterative way. So, I mean, just watching it as songwriters and being part of it for the last decade now, it was like grad school, better than anything we could have experienced in grad school.
It seems
about
intense.
story and arc and character and process.
Yeah.
And trusting the process.
Those have to be intimidating rooms as well.
Well, it's just so devastating every time you put this movie together. It's been a huge push.
Yeah.
There's always there's like a 3-week window for writing to occur, after which they have to start boarding
executing
everything. Executing the storyboards.
Of course.
Then, there's a little wiggle room here and there, but basically you get these 3 weeks and then they have to board it all. And then after 3 months has passed, you put it up again, and it's another devastating, terrible day.
The metaphor I like to use is you build a giant Lego city in like an acre-long gymnasium, and then every 3 months, someone comes and smashes your Lego city, and then you take whatever buildings are left standing, and then you start building a new Lego city, and you do this 7 to 8 times, and hopefully by the end, you've got a beautiful Lego city. Or
That's years. So that's
amazing.
literally years for one of these.
That's that process. That's sort of the screening process, which is that iterative every 3 to 4 months, is about 3.5 years. But before that, you've got 2 to 3 years of development where you're researching, and you're like, we started Frozen 2 in 2015.
Wow.
And that was on a fast track. Like a lot of these movies that come
But
out.
I think it's why it must be painful, and it must be a lot of things to have the Lego city sort of broken down and have to rebuild it, and have it broken down and have it rebuilt. But those stories are structured so beautifully, like that. That's what you get. That's what you get.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the nice things is like the as much as cool as these storyboard artists are, and as talented as they are in envisioning a movie and executing it in this kind of rough way, it's not acting. Like, you can't see the acting on the screen.
Yeah.
So I guess the idea is, if you still feel the story in this terrible, inadequate medium, then once it's animated, it'll only work better. And that those animators, you start to, this time around was kind of like, this is our last one, probably. And we really, really saw the immense magic created by the animators. It continues to just baffle us how amazing these people are.
It's
true.
Now we have, I think the first time around with Frozen, we were so busy being worried about our own stuff and like deer in the headlights that we didn't fully acknowledge how every step of the way the animators and what each level of artist at Disney adds each time. Like,
Unbelievable.
You get the storyboards, and then you get the backgrounds, and then you get the animators animating like every little eyebrow twitch and facial expression, and then you get the dress, and you get the hair, and then you get the lighting
And the voice artists, like the
right.
Them too. The whole thing. What's really cool
those
about
guys.
Disney is like, it's a building. When it's going right, it's a building full of passionate artists who are all fired up, excited, and working together. Like, it's amazing. It's really amazing.
Right. And I mean, I only just at this Oscar party got a chance to talk to the casting director who put together Josh and Kristen and Adina and Jonathan.
Wow.
Who is that person?
Her name is
Jamie.
Jamie.
Well done,
and-
Jamie.
Jamie Sparrow Roberts.
Yes.
For the Graphic Network.
Yes.
Nice.
And
Brain at work there.
And it was the first time that I got to really go, hey, human being who made my life
Oh my
better.
gosh. Yes.
Thank you for bringing these 4 incredible people, because I do think that Josh and Kristen and Adina and Jonathan and the way that they work as the toolbox of incredible talent that we get to use there. And they're so different.
Yeah.
And they're so much like their characters, or their characters have grown to be so much like them.
Yeah.
How early in the process, I'm sorry, Bobby, how early in the process do you know, like for the first time around, when were they cast so that you like knew
start
the
writing,
voices you were working with?
We
didn't know at
had
first.
an early, Kristen and Adina were there for the first table read we ever saw.
Right.
And they wheeled in this piano, like a keyboard, and Bobby and I were like, what's happening? We didn't write a song for it. And they sang You Are the Wind Beneath My Wings in harmony after the table read.
Just to hear their voices.
I guess it was sort of as a way to pitch it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But they hadn't told. No one had told us that was happening.
That was happening. We were suddenly
Surprise
like,
and delight.
what is happening? kidding. Anyway, that continues to be.
Here's
one
a
of
little
my-
preview of the songs you're going to write for us.
That's awesome. Bobby, I don't think we actually got your origin story
Yeah.
out of you.
Oh.
Did you always know? Like, were you clear-headed? This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Tell him your Tevye story.
Oh, well, that comes later, I think,
Okay.
because I started writing. I was my parents were both, I don't know, I think they were sort of frustrated artists themselves. My dad was a writer, and I guess I felt like there was some element of him that wished that he had that job, and that they always really wanted me to have that opportunity. And
When you say, what type of writer was he?
he wrote journalism and short stories and stuff like that.
And what
novels.
specific job did he wish maybe that he might have had, like as a musician?
No,
or?
I think he wanted to. I don't think he wanted to write stories, but he
Got
ended
it.
up in
Got it.
PR
Yeah.
and stuff like that, marketing.
Yeah.
But so there was nobody musical in my family, but for some reason my mother was really excited that I might be musical. She wanted me to be, and
She willed it into you.
did it to me.
Thanks, Mom.
So there was one story where I told them that I wanted a guitar, and they were excited to hear that. I was 4 years old, and they said, "We're going to get you a good guitar." And I was like, "No, I just want the plastic one, the Mickey Mouse guitar from the drugstore."
Bobby was a little needy with his toys. He loves toys.
I just want a toy guitar.
You do love toys.
He loves toys.
True.
There are, many of his toys are not here anymore because we had to clear them out, and they're in a sort of a special toy room,
Toy vault.
Farm.
I like it.
We've sent them to the toy farm.
Yeah, they're going to play with the others. No, so then we moved. Our family moved to Massachusetts, and then moved very suddenly back to New York City because Massachusetts didn't work out, and we moved into a sublet which had an upright piano. And
Oh, wow.
and so they said you should really take piano lessons, and I was really excited to see this thing, and that's when it started. And I had this amazing teacher who, for a 6-year-old, started assigning me like right away every week to go home and write 4 bars of a piece.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've never
What a
heard
gift.
Yeah,
of
it was
that.
crazy.
Such a
It was
gift.
it was a huge gift. I mean, I remember thinking like that. You're fucking with us. Like that's not something that I can't write it on the
Can't
page.
do it.
But then
but
you
you
did.
can.
Yeah, and yeah. So he was
Where
the one.
did you go to school? Did you go to piano lessons in the village?
Yes,
Where?
the Greenwich House Music School.
So I used to live down there, and every time I would walk down the street, you would hear piano music
lovely.
floating out of the windows. It was always delightful, and it always made me think of you because I think I had heard that you went there, and so every time I pass by there and there's music floating out, I always think of you.
Aw.
I have another question. It's sort of a follow-up, even though you probably haven't told us your entire story, your entire origin story. But did you? Sometimes I just think it's easy to from the outside look at someone who had certainty at an early age, followed by success, and just wonder, like, did you have any doubt in there? Were there dark nights of the soul where you questioned?
You're just like, I don't want to
fuck am I
fucking do piano
doing?
lessons.
Yes.
Did you have those? I want to hear about those.
Yeah.
How does that live for
Well,
you?
I had in my early adolescence really come to the realization I wanted to write musicals because I got into Sondheim,
Yeah.
and I was able to write all I was in a drama group that had an original show every
Amazing.
semester,
Yeah.
and
Amazing.
I wrote them. So
Wow.
and so by the time I was in college, I was pretty burned out already because I had been writing all these musicals.
Just a cigarette
Interesting.
dangling.
He did wear a lot of black turtlenecks, and
When you start,
he was he was very alienated. Like all these pictures sort of showed him just being like, "I'm done."
I didn't actually smoke. I mean,
Tired.
the
An
podcasting
imaginary
audience
cigarette.
can't see everybody's gesture, but no. Anyway.
But you were kind of burnt out in college.
I felt that way because, when you start out and you're this kid with an aptitude, it's very cute and it's really impressive and you get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
And then as you get older and older,
not so cute.
It gets less cute. It gets less impressive, especially if you have no money in sight.
Right.
If there's no, and I really didn't have any kind of plan or any shows that anybody wanted to do.
Interesting.
So for me, it was a lot of doubt, and there was a moment I joined the BMI workshop, and Alan Menken came and did a masterclass, and I did a couple of songs from this project that I was doing, and he just. I don't know. It's the mood wasn't right. It didn't spark, and he kind of laid into them the way you do when you're a master class guy, and you have to be the master up there. You gotta entertain the crowd.
Yeah, nobody brings a master in to just be like,
amazing.
Wow. Oh my God!
But that is what you were hoping for.
That's what everyone's hoping for, and that's what nobody gets out of a master class.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was my moment of like, I can't do this. I'm not good. I threw that project away. And that's when I started collaborating. In fact, it is kind of like a story of giving up, but I think that is the key lesson is like, when you are stuck, give up, let yourself off the hook, and then let your creativity come out.
Yes.
It's interesting.
I mean, I feel like that's what really the essence of what we've been talking about from the start of this conversation.
don't bang your head on the
Don't
wall.
bang your head.
Don't bang your head against the wall.
Don't. If we're going to talk about like taking a dump in the pool, don't push too hard. Just let it come out naturally. Wherever
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my Spark File. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my Spark File. I jump into my Spark File. Let's open up the Spark File.
That was part 1 of our interview with Bobby Lopez and Kristen Anderson-Lopez. Part 2 will be available next week, unless it's the future. Then it's available now. So go on, give it a listen, and find out what's sparking Bobby and Kristen these days. Hi, friends. Susan Blackwell from the Spark File here to let you know that the doors are open for the Spark File Illume, a 9-month group creativity coaching mastermind that invites you to be the Chief Creative Officer and Chief Marketing Officer of your creativity. But what does that mean? That means in 9 months in Illume, you will clarify and advance your big creative goals and learn how to effectively share your work with the world. Now, if you're listening to this and you're an experienced creative or an accomplished professional who seeks a space where it is safe to attempt something you've never tried before, or complete a big creative project, or take your work to the next level and acquire the skills needed to share your creative work with the world, Illume might be right for you. We are calling in emotionally intelligent, high-functioning creatives who are ready to level up. You can find out more by going to thesparkfile.com/Illume, but do it now to find out if Illume is right for you and to save with early bird discounts. That's thesparkfile.com/Illume. Take a leap, take a risk. Go to thesparkfile.com/Illume and join us for Illume.